Hiya, I'd just like to share with you a few tips when it comes to cutting out your stamped images. So what I've taken here is I've got one of my Rare Earth stamps from the Jolly Holly Christmas collection, and I've just stamped it out using a black ink pad onto some white cardstock. I've just done that twice, so I'd like to show you a couple of different techniques when we come to cutting out our stamps. Now this image has got a lot of fine detail in there, but it is quite simple to cut out. However, if you'd rather not cut out by hand, what you can do, and what Rare Earth very generously allow us to do with their stamped images, is scan the image into our scan and cut and use the cutting function to cut around that stamped image. So if you don't want to fussy cut by hand, you do have that option, which is absolutely fantastic. But I would like to share a few tips for when you are cutting out by hand. Now, first of all, the scissors. The scissors that you choose to use are really quite important. When you're cutting out a fine detailed image like so, you want a fairly small blade pair of scissors just to allow you to get into that fine detail. So a nice sharp small pair of scissors will allow that fine detail to be achieved. Now you can get left-handed scissors, right-handed scissors, you can get scissors with more comfortable, softer handles. It's completely up to you. You sort of find whatever type of scissors works best for you. And I know a lot of us crafters have a favourite pair of scissors that we go back to time and time again. It's what we're used to, it's what we're comfortable with, and you'll find that with your crafting as well. But this is just my favourite pair of scissors for cutting out fine detailed images like so. So I'd like to show you cutting out with a little white border, so sort of fussy cutting it, and also cutting closely to that line. So I'm going to start by cutting closely to the line. So taking my stamped image and my scissors and just cutting, so going right up to that stamped line like so. Now always try when you are cutting by hand to move your cardstock rather than your scissors. What you'll find by doing that is you'll get a smoother and a neater finish. Now do just take your time, you don't need to rush, but nice smooth movements, moving that cardstock and keeping your scissors roughly in the same place. And by using a pair of scissors with quite a short blade, what you'll find is you can get that fine detail of the stamp. Now this could be any stamp whatsoever, could be any image at all. As I say, I'm using this gorgeous holly design, which is one of my lovely Rare Earth stamps. But the technique and the tips is the same for when you're using any stamp. So I'd continue to cut all around the outside of that image like I have done here, just staying close to that line. And that's one effect you can get when you're cutting out your stamped images, going right up to that stamped line. However, another effect you can use when you're cutting out your stamped images is leaving a slight white border around that line. So again, taking my sharp little scissors and just leaving a slight border. Now, however large you use the border is completely up to you. I tend to have about a couple of mils. If you find it hard to judge how close you are to that stamp line, what you could do is take a ruler and just mark out little points around the edge, perhaps draw another little line that you later go and rub out, just to make sure you stay the same distance from that stamp line. But I find I don't have to do that, as long as I just keep looking and keep making sure I am a couple of mils from that stamp line. And it gives you that slight white edge so you don't lose any of that stamped line. It gives you that slight white border that I find is a really nice effect. So again, I'm not moving my scissors, I'm moving the cardstock to get that smoother finish. What you'll find is if you're moving the scissors rather than the cardstock, you may get a slightly jaggedy edge, which is not really what we want. So move that cardstock instead to get that smooth line. And it is very much something that you get better with practice. I know for some people fussy cutting does come naturally, it's something that they really enjoy doing. I know for me that is the case, but for some people they find it not as easy. with practice you will find you do get better at your cutting out, and I find it something that's so relaxing, so therapeutic. You can use it with any stamp really, just cutting out your images to create your own embellishments. So I would continue with this one, going all around the edge, keeping that slight white border, and that would give me that lovely effect. So you've got a few different options when it comes to cutting out your stamped images by hand, but don't forget you can also use your scan and cut if you would prefer when you're cutting out your stamped images.